baby, we are right back into the action for another day of the week. Welcome to the Monday edition of Before You Bet right here on the Covers YouTube and X channels. If you're watching live on YouTube right now, or if you're watching the replay, even hit the subscribe button right down there, hit the like button down there. Well, you are added a great big show for you guys tonight. We got 3 games in the NBA. Jon Metler and I have a bunch of player props to rip through, and we have a beautiful board in Major League Baseball. 4 different bets in the big leagues tonight, including a walk parlay, 1-0 on those so far this season. It is the talk of the sports betting world, so we'll try to stay perfect with those. And if you guys want to participate in the show, very easy to do so. Hit up the live chat on both YouTube and on X. Let us know what your best bets are for tonight. Help us out with some hockey here, too. We don't have any hockey picks on the show. If you want one, though, just fade the Toronto Maple Leafs. That's a pretty simple bet right there. Not much analysis required to tell you that. The Leafs in the playoffs, give me a break. What a joke that was out of them versus the Bruins. Okay, that's enough hockey talk. Let's get into it here. Let's bring in my guest for the day, the Magic Man, Jon Metler. We'll see if he can make it through the show here, who is celebrating quite heavily 420 on Saturday there. So hopefully he's got his wits about him today. How you doing there, Metler? You feeling good today?
Yeah, I'm good. That's funny. I didn't expect that at all. I would be better if the Orlando Magic won on Saturday. They got destroyed, but we have 3 props. I have 3 props from that game. I think you have 1, so maybe we'll make some money on them tonight. Yeah,
we'll get into those picks here in a second. Let's touch on what we saw out of the weekend in the NBA. Each of these series is a game deep now. Not too many, nothing shocking, really. Damian Lillard, that was pretty crazy in the first half there yesterday. Biggest takeaways for me, though, biggest surprise would be the Dallas Mavericks completely no-showing. They weren't in that game for a minute against the Clippers. They scored 8 points in the second quarter of that game. And another thing to keep an eye on here, Joel Embiid. He collapses in the game, went down. He no-showed kind of in the fourth quarter. 5 points, all off free throws, 0 for 5 shooting in the fourth. So I don't think the Sixers can really depend on Joel Embiid in this series. Those are the 2 things that really stood out to me. For a second, though, I thought the Lakers, they had a good first half, I think it was a good first quarter and a half of that game versus the Nuggets. And I was like, I don't know, maybe they're going to get through. Big upset. Wasn't to be. Anything stand out to you, what we've seen in the playoffs so far?
I think the one thing that stood out for me from the weekend is, the Lakers-Nuggets series. They started Rui Hachimura on Nikola Jokic. They said they have a couple more curveballs for Jokic. I don't know what that looks like, but they said they just didn't want to use them all in game 1. So I think you could expect something different in game 2. I don't know if the Lakers, it's really tough because, they're trying to guard Jokic, but at the same time, you have Austin Reeves, D'Angelo Russell on the perimeter, and they can't contain Jamal Murray. It's like they're missing, they don't have a defender. Like if they had, and sorry to say this to Lakers fans, but if you had Alex Caruso still and that he could take away Jamal Murray, and then you could focus all your help on Nikola Jokic, I think it'd be a much different outcome in series for the Lakers. I just think they're kind of really stuck. So I'd be a little concerned. I kind of stayed away from Lakers prop stakes. I just don't know, the Austin Reeves, D'Angelo Russell, one of them get faded for more defense. They're going to switch something on Jokic. They were trying to use Anthony Davis as the help defender on Jokic, but it wasn't working in my opinion. He wasn't even in a spot to even really help on a lot of the shots he took over Hachimura. So I just think you could see very different lineups from the Lakers tonight. So that's something I was just I wasn't too interested in Lakers player props today. If that's that was one reason.
Yeah, we take a look at series prices here. The one I do kind of like is still the Dallas Mavericks. It's up to plus 125 now versus the Clippers. No Kawhi Leonard. Is he expected to play in game 2 or just no idea?
I feel like the injury is way worse than what they've said, because even when he was missing those 4 or 5 games at the end of the regular season, it seemed like, the next game he's going to play, the next game he's going to play. And there's even a week, 10 days between the regular season ending and playoffs. Yeah. That's a big stretch too. And he hasn't, did he practice? I think I'm mixing up with someone else. I don't think he's practiced either. So I don't think I wouldn't be surprised if you don't see him at all. I mean, yeah, it depends how long the series go, but it does seem, and he's always been someone they're going to take the cautious route with him too. Right. So that's I don't know. It's hard to know what you're reading into because it's also like it's like smoke screen season, right? Too, with all that stuff. So
Yeah, I think we're going to see the Mavs bounce back big time here in game 2 of that series. Luka had been off for about a week and a half. I don't know if Kyrie played in any of those final 2 games, but it had been a while since they played in a meaningful game. You don't give them a pass for that by any means, but maybe a reason why they were so flat. The OKC Thunder squeak went out against the Pelicans. And I don't know there, Metler. What do you think your Magic plus 275? I kind of like them going in to that series. Of course, they played like shit in game 1, but plus 275. Is that a bet you'd make on them?
I don't think they'll take out the Cavs. I think they can make it difficult. I think they can push it to maybe 6, maybe 7, but I don't think they'll ultimately win the series. To me, they remind me of the Cavs last year. They got to go get more shooting, so that'll be like their offseason thing. And you saw in game 1, there's not enough shooting on that team to, the lane's way too clogged. So.
Indeed. And we touched on Embiid and Kawhi Leonard here, both on Team USA. You think the Clippers and the Sixers, they got to be pretty fired up about those guys committing to play on Team USA when they can't even get through a goddamn playoff series here, the money they're paying them. So, yeah, I think you said a pre-show here, Kawhi probably be smart to drop out of the Olympics at this point. I'd say the same thing for Joel Embiid. Okay, enough small talk. Let's get into the picks here. Let's get right into the action. Let's start with the Cavs versus your Orlando Magic, and you have a bet on Donovan Mitchell. What do you like for him?
Yeah, I'm going Donovan Mitchell over 4.5 assists. So when you watch, the Magic, they have Jalen Suggs. He's one of the best point of attack defenders in the entire NBA, but they're actually not using Jalen Suggs on Donovan Mitchell. They're using him on Darius Garland, which it makes sense, right? Like, why put Suggs on Mitchell and then they can run actions that generate switches, and then we kind of lose our best defender on him? Why don't we just have Suggs suffocate Garland, take him out of the game, and put the pressure on Mitchell? So what that means is they're putting Gary Harris as the primary defender on Donovan Mitchell. But when you bring any screen to Donovan Mitchell, that means Jonathan Isaac's there to help. Franz Wagner, Paolo Banchero, all these guys, the Magic across the board, they have lots of good defenders. They have lots of positional size. That kind of creates a problem for Mitchell. So you bring screens to him, you're bringing even better defenders to him. If he takes Gary Harris one-on-one, which is probably what he'll look to do most of the time in that matchup, they're funneling him right to Jonathan Isaac. That's the whole point of they're sending him right to the rim protection. You saw it multiple times in game 1. It'll be the same in game 2. So Donovan Mitchell will be able to get in the lane, but once he's there, he's meeting Jonathan Isaac. That's not a matchup you want to go one-on-one to score, and it's creating potential assists. And at 4.5, minus 120. That's why I'm playing the over, because it's just the way the Magic have decided to guard Mitchell. I think it's going to create a bunch of potential assists.
Okay, yeah, over 4.5 assists for Mitchell. Matt Nygaard looking for confirmation. Yes, that is over 4.5 assists for Mitchell. And hopefully he'll be converting some of those assists over to Karis LeVert, because I like him to go over his point total all the way down to 8.5 points here, minus 120. And I think this drop to 8.5 is an overreaction to a weak performance that he had in game 1. He scored just 5 points on 2 of 8 shooting in game 1. Now his point total was 10.5 in that game. Now they dropped it all the way down to 8.5. This is a guy that averaged 14 points per game during the regular season. Don't be surprised to see a bump in minutes tonight as well. He only played 20 minutes in game 1. This is a guy who averaged 31.1 minutes per game since the All-Star break. And he was coming into this series pretty hot here. He hit double digits in points in 7 straight games entering the playoffs. Like we said here, he had that down game in game 1. We'll try to take advantage of that because this is a pretty low number, 8.5. So LeVert over 8.5. Next up, Franz Wagner. What do you like for him, John?
So I'm going over 3.5 assists. It was plus 130. For Wagner, he only had 3 assists in game 1. That's really just not the number you want to see when I'm telling you to play over 3.5. But he did that on 13 potential assists. 13 potential assists is a lot for Franz Wagner. That's a big number for him. And why it's happening and why it should continue to happen is against the Cavaliers, the lane is extremely clogged. There's not much room to operate for Wagner and Banchero. The Magic shooters need to make shots. So Wagner is someone who, the majority of his offense comes through, like cutting, getting the ball in the lane, Euro stepping through the lane, using his size to finish at the rim. Those he can get there. It's just, there's not much room to operate, and you're being met by the rim protection of Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen. So when he gets there, he's being forced to pass out. And that's what you saw in game one. That's why you have 13 potential assists. It really is just something where the Magic shooters need to make those shots. And that's going to be like how the series plays out for them. If they're not making those shots, they won't win the game. They have to get shooters to space the lane for Banchero and Wagner. I just think, that's at 3.5 plus 130. You're talking about 13 potential assists. That's just you got to play that. You're hoping they make shots, but you got to play that, in my opinion.
Okay, guys, we just passed over 1,000 live viewers right now across X and YouTube. Weigh in on today's show. Let us know what you are betting on. Have you pulled the trigger on any bets today? Patrick McWhorter, sorry if I butchered the last name, but he likes Christian Braun over 0.5 3-pointers. So to make one 3-pointer tonight. Maybe I was celebrating 420 too hard there. I can barely get 2 words out today. So we'll try to make it through the rest of the show. Okay. One last prop pick for this game, Cole Anthony. What do you like for him, John?
Yeah, this is one of those assists. There's a chance this is like the worst price assist we've seen all year, in my opinion. So Cole Anthony's over 1.5 assists plus 170. So the thing with like Cole Anthony is their 6th man. He comes off the bench. His minutes got faded against the Cavaliers. That's fine. You kind of expect that just because he is more offense than defense. And with the, Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, you're trying to play your better defenders if you're Jamal Mosley in the backcourt, because the majority of the Cavaliers offense comes from their backcourt. So leaving Cole Anthony does kind of expose your defense. But when you only score 83 points, you need more offense. I don't think they can just completely fade Cole Anthony in the series because of his defense. And he only played 11 minutes, but even like at 1.5 plus 170, even if we just see 11 minutes tonight from Cole Anthony, you have an edge on this number. So I think you'll see more, and like maybe 14, 15. I'm not asking for a lot here. His season average is 22. I'm not asking for 20. If we get 22, we're laughing with this assist prop. 1.5 plus 170 is like reserved for someone who like literally can't pass. Like it's someone who just can't create offense. When Cole Anthony comes into a game, if he sees any 4 minutes, he's on the ball. He's creating offense. He's generating offense for his teammates. It's just a minutes thing with him. And I think like even 1.5 plus 170, you're not like, if he comes in at 10 minutes, you're like, you still have an edge on this number. I think this is really priced wrong. Just to throw it even more there. It's going to be in the article. It hasn't been submitted yet, but I was writing before we came on air. I did play a same game parlay on Cole Anthony as well. 10 plus points, 3 assists, and 2 plus 3 threes made, and it's 22-1. So
22-1.
Yeah, and the season average is 11 points, 2.9 assists. Like you're not asking for a lot. I think because he only played 11 minutes and he didn't produce, he went 0 for 4 from 3. They've really suffocated his props here, really dropped him down with the adjustment, and I think it's a whiff. His role is very different than how he's being priced for the Magic. It's just a minutes thing, and if he comes in and he knocks down shots, he'll see more minutes because they need someone who will make shots. So if he comes in and hits 1-3, that'll help your SGP right away and it'll help his minutes. So I just think I really think there's something there with Cole Anthony. I mean, he could completely get faded, but I'm in.
22-1. Yeah. Worth a swing on that one. Patrick weighing back in. He says, Joe pronounced my name better than my football coach in high school. Patrick McWhorter. Patrick, we appreciate your viewership. Thank you for chiming in here today, and best of luck on your bet. Okay, let's go to Sixers Knicks. I think this is going to be a pretty competitive game. My favorite bet for this one, I like Bojan Bogdanovic to go over his point total of 10.5 points, plus money on this one. I don't get the juice here, plus 105. Let's look to take advantage of a situation here. As we know, teams like to shorten their bench in the playoffs. Only 8 Knicks saw the court in game 1 of the series. He played 25 minutes in game 1. I think that might be an indication of a larger workload to come because he was only playing around 18.6 minutes per game since the All-Star break. And when he does see a normal workload, he tends to contribute as he scored over 10.5 points in 7 of the last 9 games where he played at least 16 minutes. So I think we're going to see this guy on the court a lot. And when he's on the court, he's there to score, specifically shoot 3-pointers. I think he was 3 of 6 there in game 1. So I like Bogdanovic to score at least 11, plus 105 is the juice on that one. That was bet over at DraftKings this morning. Kyle Lowry, he was quite involved in game one of this series, kind of stepping up for Joel Embiid. He still filled the stat sheet, I guess. I think he scored, 29 points. He just, some concerns with him collapsing and then not really doing much in the fourth quarter. But Kyle Lowry, what do you like for him tonight?
Yeah, so I'm going over 2.5 assists with Kyle Lowry. Just before I jump into Kyle Lowry here, the Cole Anthony SGP I was talking about, that was at Bet365, and I did 3+ assists, 10+ points, and 2+ made threes. So the 3+ assists is an alternate total. So that was at Bet365. I made that just for clarification. So I'm going for this prop. I'm going Kyle Lowry over 2.5 assists. I bet it at -112 this morning. It was -118 when we made this graphic, but all in between making the graphic and coming on the show here, Tyrese Maxey was tagged as questionable and he wasn't at shoot around. So that will change this price. I think now Lowry's at -155. In terms of the over 2.5 assists, even at -155, to me, that's still a good bet. For Lowry, the projection. So the thing with Lowry, why I was going after this in the first place, was he's projected for 3.6 assists, but that's only at 24 minutes. He played 39 minutes in game one. So you had a massive edge on this prop with a projection of 24 minutes, but if you go and look at like the minutes for Lowry, you're like, oh, he's not going to play 39 again. We can't depend on that and stuff. We're not depending on it. We actually think the minutes are way lower. I do think it will fall between 24 and 30, maybe. I mean, if Maxey's out, this is completely different. So, but that projection was with Maxey in, and it was 24 minutes. So if Maxey's out, at the 3.6 on the 2.5, it comes, I think, to -210. So even at -155, you still have a probability gap there. You can attack, and that was with Maxey in. So if Maxey's out, that's completely different. Then the minutes could be north of 35. He played 39 minutes. He only had 2 assists last game. That's why his numbers come down here. It's dropped from 3.5 to 2.5. That's a big move when the number's already small. He did have 6 potential assists. If you're gonna give me Lowry at this price, I'm taking it. That's pretty much the bottom line. You're not dependent on those high minutes, but Nick Nurse has shown us he could play them. So that's why I'm going after this one.
Yeah, I think he'll be in the mix tonight here. Absolutely. So best of luck with that one. Okay, let's rip through my 4 bets for Major League Baseball here tonight. Off to a pretty good start. I think up around 8 units. So hopefully we can keep this pace going and put a winning night together tonight. Let's start in Pittsburgh, where the Milwaukee Brewers are in 10. I'm going to take those Brewers to go over their team total of 3.5 runs. The Brewers lead Major League Baseball in runs per game on the road with 6.67. They've scored at least 4 runs in 9 of their last 11 road games here this season. They're taking on Jared Jones, who's off to a fantastic start. Let's be real. Very promising start for the 22-year-old, but can he keep it going versus a top-tier offense against right-handed pitching? The Brewers second in OPS versus righties. Jones, one knock on him, he's allowing a lot of hard contact, so maybe a little bit of a red flag here against a good offense. And even if he does pitch half decently here, the Pirates bullpen has been awful lately. An ERA over 6 over the last 2 weeks, so potential for them to get lit up in the late innings in this game. So Brewers over 3.5 runs. Okay, next up, this is why everyone is tuning into the show. It is the walk parlay. It is the most popular bet in all of sports betting. The sports betting world absolutely buzzing after I hit a walk parlay on Friday, 1-0 on the season. Tonight, we will be pairing Joe Ross and Austin Gomber, each to go over 1.5 walks. This one comes in at +151. Bet that over at DraftKings. Each starter is averaging 2 or more walks so far this season. 8 walks and 3 starts for Ross, taking on the Pirates here, who are walking at the 3rd highest percentage in Major League Baseball this season. Then we check out Gomber going back to last season. He's walked at least 2 in 8 of his last 10 games. Taking on the Padres here, who are walking at the highest percentage in Major League Baseball versus left-handed pitching, 15.1%. That's a very high number. Let's back a guy we backed, I think, about a week and a half ago, Zach Lytle, the Rays going against Jon Metler's Detroit Tigers. We're going to take Lytle to have under 2.5 earned runs, -115. Very clean start to the season for Lytle, just 5 earned runs and 4 starts, 22 Ks to 5 walks. All this despite a batting average in balls in play allowed of 3 61. So perhaps due for a little bit of luck here. Taking on a Tigers offense that's 27th in OPS versus right-handed pitching and 29th in hard contact percentage versus righty pitching. And Detroit on the road early in games, not good. They're averaging just 1.64 runs in innings 1 through 5 on the road. So like I like him to get off to a good start in this game and hold the Tigers to under 2.5 earned runs. And let's wrap things up out on the West Coast. Is Colorado considered the West Coast? I guess so. Dylan Cease under 2.5 earned runs. Even money on this one. So what a fantastic start for him in a Padres uniform since coming over from the White Sox. A 1.99 ERA, a FIP below 1 in 4 starts, and most importantly, 2 earned runs or fewer in all 4 of his starts. Now, you might be like, oh, Joe, he's pitching at Coors Field. How can you make this bet? Chill out on the Coors Field factor here. The Rockies are 28th in runs scored in innings 1 through 5 at home. 28th in WRC plus at home. And the Rockies, they are slumping offensively. They're always slumping, but they're especially ice cold here. 520 OPS with just 1 home run over the last week. So they come into this game in horrible, horrible form. So, Metler, I think between Major League Baseball and the NBA, I think that was 12 bets we just gave out. All prop bets, too, with the walk parlay. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for today's show. Metler, let the people know what you have going on this week and where they can find all your work.
Well, first of all, I don't think Denver is part of the West Coast
time zone. Mountain region. Well, it's in the Western Conference. They're in the Western divisions and the AFC West, you know. So here, I'm a Canadian on the East Coast here, so give me a break.
You're far east, so like to you, they're very west, but we'll give you that.
There's some gray area there. There's some gray area. Come on now. It's I know it's the Mountain time zone, but you know, there's some gray area.
Yeah. In terms of what I have going on this week, writing daily prop articles at covers.com. And I also have the release show, NBA release show, Tuesdays, 10:30 a.m. and Thursdays, 10:30 a.m. So make sure to come check this out with Adam Scherher has been releasing props and he's up units. So nothing better than that.
Yeah, check out the show. I'm going to sign off here before I say anything else to embarrass myself. Hopefully I don't embarrass myself with these picks here. Tonight should be a fun one. Beautiful board. Be keeping an eye on the NHL as well. So thank you guys very much for tuning in to today's show. Best of luck with all of your bets tonight, and we will see you again on Wednesday.